We're all yours to listen to you about the power of the gathering.
Thank
Shanti.
you, Maria. Thank you so much. And thank you for the Turkish family for holding this sacred space that we enjoy from all around the world. It's just magic to have every Wednesday one of Baba's instruments sharing. So thank you. And yes, when Yogesh asked me what could be a topic, I thought something that is very lit in my mind now, and that is the power of the gathering. And I was thinking how we were all travelers and seekers, and we were searching for, some were searching for love, others were searching for peace, others wanted company or a place or truth, whatever we wanted. And we had this, I think we were all surprised that God himself reached out to us, and there he was, and he gave us birth into what would be an amazing gift that he would offer to us in the conference age. Apart from meeting Baba, what we wanted, he came with a huge family. So we were born in this family of very, very elevated souls from all over the world. And I remember when I came in 1986, we used to go to Madhuban and there was 200 double foreigners and it seemed a lot, but when we became 400, they felt now it's a full house. And so they were organizing themselves to host that many, and we could see that this gathering just grew until what it's become today. So this has been such an amazing gift. I think none of us could even dream that we could have such a family. Wherever we go in the world, there is our family, our divine family. Wherever we go, we have a home to come to. Baba's children, Baba's home are there for us. We are so fortunate. So, and as we journey together back to our perfection, back home to the soul world, back home to paradise, to the golden age, here we are in the conference age, in this amazing little world that Baba has created. And this is where our metamorphosis happens. This is where we are transforming. So we go through a lot. And this is the gathering that I have been with throughout the cycle. We have been families, we've been friends, we've been each other's children, each other's parents. It's just amazing when we think about it. Sometimes in Argentina, we look at each other and we say, if it hadn't been for Baba, this is what we think, we wouldn't have any meeting point. We wouldn't have had anywhere that we would have crossed, our paths yet. We have been together. And sometimes when we think we are going to be together in our next birth, in golden age, we look at each other and we kind of laugh, saying, what are we going to be? And so these are those souls, those that God himself has chosen to be his children, his special children, his instruments, and his family, the ones he would like to show to the whole world, the ones that would become an example to inspire the whole world to let go, to move on, to transform, and that would uplift the whole human family. So when we think of our family, if we were aware of who we really are all the time, sometimes our life could be much easier as well. So we start the journey. I remember when I joined this gathering in Madhuban, I just had this feeling, I had been traveling for a long time, as you said in my introduction, and I just thought, this is my place, these are my people. And I met Daddy Janki so openly, and she asked me all about my life, and I just thought I could trust her. Then I met Daddy Gulzar. I couldn't take my eyes off Daddy Gulzar. I took so many pictures of Daddy Gulzar. And with that glance, that beautiful royal glance she had, she said to me, you can't take pictures of the soul. And I I had only been in Guyana, I think, for 3 days. I was so shy. I kind of ran away behind the rabbi's office. It was so funny. And then I would sit there with Daddy G in the courtyard, and it was just a wonder. It just felt that we knew each other forever. And it was just, I put my backpack down, and it was, wow, what a relief. I am amongst, these are my tribe, these are my people. And so the journey starts with this amazement, this discovery, this intoxication, really, of who is my family. And I remember I came to Argentina, and it was so, when I came back, how I saw my family. And one thing that Daddy Yankee told me was, when you get back and you go to your family, you have to see them with the vision that they are equally special to the family you have just been born into. Because it couldn't be that some souls who are your Lokik family are ordinary people, but that they would have the fortune to have a Brahmin, one of God's instruments, in their family. So she said, you look at them with the vision of them being very, very fortunate, special people. So it was very interesting how my vision of them changed as well. And of course, the journey as a Brahmin, because when we're baby Brahmins, it's very smooth and everything, wherever we go, we find that everybody is so special and so unique. And then we start traveling, and we meet, or we come back to Madhuban, and here's, wow, this big family. Because actually, when I came to Madhuban, it was the Golden Jubilee. There was the 50 daddies were there, and there was very few double foreigners. This was mid-May. And by the time I left, there was 7 double foreigners. So I didn't get a chance to meet the big family when I was born. I met the daddies when I was born, and the Madhuban Nivasis, of course. And I felt I was born in a golden cradle, to be honest. And so, and then I went to London, and I met the BKs there. Then I went back to Argentina, I met the BKs there. And things started changing. And although, a baby Brahmin enjoys Brahmin life so naturally, because Baba is holding us in his arms, he's like feeding us and taking so much love and giving us so much love and care. And then a time comes when we have to manage on our own, and then things start becoming difficult. And there comes a time when we think, is this really a family? Because the way we treat each other, the ways we, the things that we do. And so it starts becoming a little bit rough. It's at the beginning, it's smooth, and it becomes a little rough. It can become very tough. And then it's when we start facing the self, the things that I need to change. And I remember being in Argentina, to be honest, I don't feel I belong to this place. I always felt that I have been abroad most of my time. I've only been here, and I'm aware that I'm only here for service. It's a distant place. And when I took my Brahmin birth, I thought I was Australian. Then someone I met on the journey told me, your previous birth was here. When I went to Australia the first time, I said, everywhere I go, I seem to know people. And she said, because you were here, your previous birth. Who knows, really? But anyway, I felt that I wanted to leave Argentina. I had this thought that, these Brahmins, they don't get it here. So then it was my, the clashes of sanskars. And I realized that I was not so happy as I was when I started. I remember there was one day, I was about 5 years in India, and I sat on my bed and I said, Baba, I think that I'm more unhappy than when I arrived. And those days, just those very days, I received a letter from Daddy Yankee, and just Daddy used to write such short letters those days. It was 3 lines, I think. It just ignited me. It just made me feel that I was so protected, that I was so fortunate. And it was like the letter and then a phone call from Ken. And Ken said, can you go and live in Chile? Can you take care of our things in Chile? So I went there. And it was a new chapter in Argentina. And I asked Ken, why did you send me to Chile? Why did you ask me to go there? And he said, you needed space. This is what I felt, that I couldn't grow in Argentina. And so drama has it, whatever you need, Baba and drama will provide. So I went to Chile. It was a new chapter. It was such a learning curve. But then again, learning, and it was, facing also opposition and different things that made me feel that, my life was, I had to struggle. Really, I was struggling with my sanskars. I went through so many different phases, which I think we all do, until the time comes when we realize that wherever I go, then I came back to Argentina. I was 7 years in Chile, then I came back here, and Ken asked me to live between Argentina and Uruguay and Chile and Paraguay. So I was wondering, how am I going to live in 4 countries at a time? But now we know that can happen, no? So he told me something which...
Moira,
yes.
Excuse me, can you speak a little slower?
Yeah.
A request from the translators.
Yes, translators, I'm really sorry. I'm a translator and I know what it feels. Thank you for reminding me. So here I was. And so Ken said something very interesting. He said, stop looking at countries, because Argentina and Chile are divided by a mountain range. Uruguay from Argentina is divided by a river. So he said, it's only a river and the mountains. We just come and go. And this made my life bigger. There were, being with the Brahmins everywhere. So Baba gives us space. Baba gives us opportunity to grow, to meet other people. This is such a big family. We were creating, actually, the Brahmin family in these places because we were starting service there. And so many different experiences. And then the global family, every time I went to Madhuban or even traveling, I really learned to love and appreciate the Brahmins and creating friendship. I think that on our journey, friendship is so important, so important. And I remember one thing, Valerian, we lived together in Chile, and I used to work very long hours, and she hardly knew any Spanish, so she was more at the center, and I had a blocking job. And I used to get back at 10 p.m. just for 15 days. I was organizing a fair for the company. And so Valerian used to wait for me. She used to wait for me to warm up my food when I arrived. And I said, Valerie, you don't need to sit up. You go to bed. I'll eat something and I'll go to sleep. But every night during 15 days, she was there warming up my food. I said, Valerie, why do you do this? And she said, we have to, when things are going well between us, we can do extra. We can do something extra because it creates a credit. Maybe a time comes when our relationship needs those credits. And that always stayed with me. We can always do extra for others. We never know when we will need it. And this friendship, I find that has become very crucial, especially when we become mature Brahmins, to have friends, people with whom we feel comfortable, that we can be very open and safe. This is that gathering. And sometimes we may find things are unfair. We may be under the abuse of instruments, authority. We may feel mistreated. We may not be given enough space or opportunity to serve or to grow. And rather than, becoming more isolated, because now we've become huge, so we can comfortably sit at home, in front of our computer, and we could become spectators of this gathering, but not necessarily feel part of it. And maybe if I find that things are not so easy, it could, as Mama said in her Murli on the 24th, these huge tests. I was reading her Murli again today. She spoke that in 1961. And she says, all this is happening now. Our families and friends are turning away, or they won't ask for your welfare. You could go bankrupt, you could become sick, so many things. We're settling so many karmic accounts. And that was 61 when she was saying that. And of course, when we think of the foundation of this yagya, it wasn't that much easier either. They really went through a tough time. So they came together and they appreciated the safety, the sacredness, the purity of that gathering in Mandali when they went through so much opposition. And then when they took refuge in Karachi, but no less, when they went, just a third of the ones they went to Mount Abu, because Baba comes back to India with 300, but only about 80, between 80 and 90 go up the mountain, which means the others were somehow put in the test of lack of faith. So they left, they went back home. But that little gathering, they were together. No matter what happened, no matter they were going to face the beggarly time, but they were unaware of that. But they were united. They were together. They had sealed in their hearts the love for study, love for yoga, love for Baba, for Mama, for the disciplines. And this was the common ground they had, because imagine the diversity of these daddies coming from very, very rich, very good families. And for good families, I guess they were all good, but some were very wealthy, others not so. So they were exposed to different backgrounds. And there they were all together, going through the same experience. Everything had become so simple, but yet their efforts were such that the thread of love that kept them together made their life so fascinating. Once Gentiben told us this story that Daddy used to say that after breakfast, they had to go into the mountains to get some berries, get some food. And when Gentiben said, Daddy, for how long did that happen? Daddy said, Gentiben, we were so happy. I can't even remember. So this bond that they had, that was their purity, their spirit of sacrifice. Once Daddy told us, you will never do the efforts that we did because we are the roots. But now we are and there's a trunk, and then there are the branches, and we are the branches of this huge tree. So we've become so big. And sometimes we think, well, things have become very different from the beginning. Yes, the context is different, but the challenge is no less from what it was. I mean, we haven't yet gone through civil war. We haven't yet gone through that level of austerity. So it was not so different, but yet the daddies inherited the legacy from Mama and Baba of this power that brings this gathering together and makes them such a fortress that together they're able to face no matter what is coming on their way. And we got it from the daddies. And we, when I tell you this, I'm thinking of, Daddy G, how she, her leadership, her purity and her huge heart, how she managed to keep this gathering together, and how we all enjoyed being there. It was such a passion. I remember going to Madhuban in my childhood. Was, I couldn't think of anything else in the world that I would prefer to do than just go back home. And there they were, the daddies, those simple rooms. We showered with buckets. It was really simple. Baba then created much better facilities for us. But even now, it doesn't really matter so much. But it's just the coming together. When I came to Madhuban after the pandemic, it was such a wonder to see everyone again. The feeling was I just wanted to embrace everyone. These are my people. And although the pandemic gave us the gift of being together like we are today, still, we didn't see each other for 3 years or 2 years. And so this is such a fortune. But I sometimes we feel that we may feel lonely and we may need help. And I know, and I know for sure things that are happening now where, you know, some souls are mistreated, or there is some form of abuse in terms of authority. And so when we go through these things, we should not remain alone. I mean, we can be alone, but not lonely. But we must take help at the right time. And it is so important to know that sometimes you want to open your heart to those few people that you have affinity with and that you really trust. But sometimes you need help at a higher level. You need probably the help of the seniors. So really trust that they're there to listen to you. And now they're all there for us. And it's not only the Didis, I mean, Mohini Didi, Jayanti Didi, Nirmala Didi, Chakradari Didi, Vedanta Didi, Sudesh Didi, all of them are there. And we can talk to any of them. I mean, I would say Mohini Ben is my senior in the Americas, but I talk to Jayanti Ben many times, especially when I want to really talk about my heart. I feel somehow I was born in Madhuban with Daddy, so sometimes I've always kept this connection with her in my full right. And I feel that in our countries, if we have difficulty with our seniors there, then definitely we can take help from anyone else. But it's important to feel the right, because in this gathering, we have full rights, all rights. And this is what Baba has awoken, giving us birth in this family, awoken us to the right to claim everything we need, our full inheritance. And he also, so sometimes, it's just a phone call. I find that, someone like Charlie is someone, I consider Charlie like a prince of everyone's heart, to call him, or any senior that you feel that you need. Now there's the trustees. Sometimes Didis could be so busy, maybe they can't listen to you the amount of times you need to be heard. But what's important is that you feel that whatever you need, you have a right, and that there's always a way. So maybe the trustees, sometimes I talk to Gayatri, to Ken, to Charlie, to whoever. It's not always about service. Many times it's about myself. It's about, things that I want to clarify, things that I need guidance on. Sometimes I just need to be heard. There was a time I was going through hell with my Lokik family at the time of, my dad passing away and us dealing with inheritance. And I really needed someone to help me think things through. And this was not about, Yagya Seva. So I called Ken, and he became such a good, companion, just listening to me and helping me to take decisions that, he's not obliged. I mean, this was something about my personal things, but we are the whole being we are. So when we have that help, it is so, so precious, because this family knows exactly what we're going through. And I really liked when Mama said, our war is with the vices. We're not fighting with anyone, but sometimes, because we are so hurt and we take things so personally, we project onto others in this family. And of course, the cleansing and the healing is going to happen within this fortress. So it does take our attention to make our life balanced, to make our life, and maybe to be able to do this, I may need to learn how to say, although Baba says you have to be, I've made you my instruments, you're creating your unlimited fortune, and you need, your greatness is that you are with Haji to anything coming from Baba, but sometimes we take more on our plate than we should. And then this doesn't allow the time for our deep spiritual work. So we become too workaholics. I mean, there was a time that we were so young and Baba kept us so busy. Mr. Mohini always used to tell me, Moira, you have to become introverted. And, I used to see, when I was born as a Brahmin, I used to see Gentiben so active, and I used to see Mohini Ben so quiet, so cool, so steady. And I thought, I want to be like Genti. So for me, she was I feel I was more like her type. So when Mohini Ben used to tell me, you have to be quiet, and I couldn't imagine that I would ever be like her. And so once she always told me the same thing. And so I said, Mohini Ben, when is this going to happen? Because I have so many ideas and I'm so happy doing what I'm doing. And so she looked at me as someone who looks at someone who's much younger, of course. So she said, when we were your age, and this was in my 20s, and so, or early 30s, I guess. And so she said, Baba kept us busy, very busy, because what would he do with our energy if we weren't that busy? So those were those days, but these are different days now. These are the days that we have sometimes we used to get so excited about service. It was service, service, service. Now we realize we haven't done the real self-service that we needed. And this is the only thing that will count. People now want to see it happen. In Brazil, recently we were in our teachers' meeting in Peace Village, and Luciana shared this with us. She said, we have the help of a very important big company that is helping us with a public face. And so they kind of scrutinized the BKs. They came to a very interesting conclusion. They said, you have this slogan that says, when we change, the world changes. But they, as experts in marketing, realized that could create a little burden on people. Like, when we change, the world changes. Like, wow, what a lot of responsibility. And so they offered Brazil, the BKs, a new slogan that is, the Brahma Kumari is my point of balance. So this is what now they're using. And they, in this exercise of creating the public face strategy, they consulted many friends. And Luciana said that these friends asked them, are you BKs who offer all the things that you offer? Do you live that? Is that your life? And so even our friends who love us and know all about us, now they want to see it happening. So this is such a time in which, the gathering, the Brahmin gathering, becomes so crucial, so precious. Because it's within this little world that we need to kind of undress from what we want to let go. We need to clean, we need to heal. It's not that we can't do this in the midst of our friends. They want to see us as, having achieved what we wanted spiritually. And they don't want to hear so much from us now. They want to see it. And we have now a new place here. It's called Paradise. And our friends like to come and stay with us. They want to be with us. So they're looking at us. And they are looking at the way we relate with each other. They want to see if, because when we have guests, of course, we have the best behavior. We are BKs are such lovely people. We create such an amazing atmosphere. But then how do we live together amongst us? How are we managing with our differences? And so this is what they're really looking at. For the yoga day, we had 5 schools, yoga schools, and we did something together here at our retreat place. So we had lectures, in the classroom for about 100 people. We had yoga practices at the auditorium for like 40, 50 people. And then we had in Baba's room, we put a big Shiv Baba, and the different schools were running meditations there. So it was amazing what happened, really. And at the end of the day, one of the schools said, we are also serviceable volunteers, but we've been watching the way you people serve. We've been watching how much you enjoy being together. And then they asked me, how many people are behind this? We had about 180 people all day, the whole day. Some were coming and going, but the numbers are always the same. And you see, this is what people see. They were looking at us, you know. One of them wanted to let me go into the kitchen. I want to see the cooks. I want to say something to the cooks. And so they went there, and you know what they said to them? This is a teacher of a university. And he said, you know, I say this jokingly, but I also mean it. God attends in the Brahma Kumaris. And then it was kind of playful at the tea time. They were joking about this. And I said, well, I'm so glad he thinks that everybody is his children, right? And he said, yes, but he has given you all a special passport. And this was coming from them, you know? And I thought, wow, how amazing, no? We were just doing the karma yoga. I mean, we had our little slots, but, you know, things were happening around them. So what counts is what we mean when we are together to people. And I feel that now the yajna has become so mature. It's reaching its completion. And this is the time when even souls who have left us are coming back to our gathering. You know, very recently here, one of our brothers who left us about 10 years ago with his wife, he came and said, you know, I was so desperate to come back. And he said, I could no longer live without Baba. And his wife happens to be someone who defamed the BKs very much on the websites and so on. And we just felt so happy. And we said to him, make sure that she knows that we will be happy to have her back. And now she's, because we are distant, we're about an hour from Buenos Aires. So he's listening online. He couldn't believe that everything was online. He was so happy. So now he was listening secretly because he didn't know how she would take it. And he said, well, finally he said, I'm coming back to Baba. So she pulled out all his white clothes and kind of said, okay, you go. And then slowly she started listening to the movie again. Now she's connecting with some of the teachers, and she has expressed her need to come back. And I was thinking, you know, it's just, they're ready to come back, but are we ready to embrace them? Are we ready to make the space for the diversity, for whatever differences we have? Because we are different, and we are still different, but we now need to be together. So have we healed enough that will give space to others? Have we overcome our judgmentalism, our criticism? I'm talking about this as ignorance in her murli, no? A state of ignorance when we judge others. And so Baba is giving us this, I really like this, these months of self-respect and these Vyak signals that we're getting, in which our own self-respect is, we're working on our self-respect, our dignity, and how that will impact and open the door to all our family who have left us to join us, to feel safe again, and to come and claim their rights. They now have little time. And so we have to be very generous-hearted. And so I think that what makes our gathering very powerful is faith, and how faith contributes to our unity. And so Baba was saying a few Sundays ago about faith in the self and faith in Baba, but faith in the family. And I've been working on this for myself. Am I still holding the old vision of me? Am I still holding the old vision of those who left? Can they come back and have a clean page? Can they start again and be themselves? Or am I still holding their past? So this is the kind of healing and cleansing that we need now. And I think it's happening because I was so grateful, in our meeting in Peace Village. We had 2 days before, it was a service meeting, and then we had like the regional meeting with Mohini, Didi, and all the others from Canada, US, and the Caribbean. And we had a plan. We had designed like a service meeting, but when we met and we saw who was there, we decided to leave that aside, and we thought, let's listen to each other. Let's know where we are at. Let's know what we really need. And it was amazing. It was so wonderful, because I think that when we open the space to just being who we are, not in any position, not in any responsibility, not in the task, it's just a wonder, because I think we start knowing each other. We had such fun. You know what? When we met Mohini Didi, we went to our Vyakti Parivar studio. And so you see her on the screen, but then she has like 20 people in front of her. So she asked us, we had to go up in 2 groups because we were many Latinos from Latin America. So we had a little group of about 22. And once she finished Avyakti Parivar, she asked us to dance, because Latinos are known for being joyful and lively people. So we thought, Mohini Didi, we came to say hello to you. We want to listen. She said, no, I want you to dance. So I put some music on my, so the cameras, the lights, there was Bhumi there. And so she had us dancing. And then we all sat on the floor, and it was just, and Bhumi was so happy, so happy. And then we were going to have our inauguration. And Mohini Didi said, well, she missed, she has her treatments. She's doing her health care. So she couldn't come to the party when we started. So she asked us to do another party at the end, because she wanted us to just dance. And then they had practiced, that song that brought us all together, Jerusalem. And then the Latino music is very lively anyway. But there was just this atmosphere that everybody was so safe. There was someone in the gathering who, right at the beginning, went into a huge catharsis, a huge sad moment. And by the time she left, she was like a butterfly. She was completely different. And it's just, what is there in this space? How Baba has brought us together, how he's teaching us to let go of the past, and how this is the time to bless each other, to see the best in each other, and how cultivating good wishes and pure feelings, it draws, it makes us loving, it touches other people's lives. The last thing I want to say is, what I've been practicing, some souls in Argentina with whom I don't have much connection or interaction, they're there, but they're not part of the gathering exactly. And maybe because they don't want to be in my presence. So we can heal in many ways. We can go through a deep process myself with Baba in Baba's room. We can have conversations with souls who can help us through things. But we can also serve with our mind. We can heal with the mind. We can speak to souls just with our pure thoughts, our pure intentions. And if we are consistent in doing this, sending good wishes, having, creating good feelings in my heart, what we thought is impossible, these grudges and conflicts that we've had within the gathering, they will also heal. They will disappear. Baba is going to melt them away. And he is our supreme surgeon. So we have to take his help. So we need to be very silent, very quiet, very focused, and allow Baba to make it easy for us. If we are sincere and honest in our effort, it will happen easily. And we have, I mean, the good wishes of all the family. I think we don't want anyone to be left behind. So this is such a safe place. And Baba once said, if the fortress is missing even one brick, it, you know, the water, Maya, could come in there and it would affect everyone. So I'll stop here. I think my time is over. Maria, I don't know. Sorry, I haven't been watching the chat.
Yes.
Someone
Thank
is
you,
asking.
Moira. I don't see any questions, but
Okay.
we really appreciated what you shared with us. Your sharing and experiences touch our hearts, and we remember the times of our childhood, and also your enthusiasm and lightness really made us fly to Madhuban and to our times with the daddies, and it was really so touching. I felt really my heart going up and down. And actually, I think that we need somebody like you in Greece right now. Thank you so much. I don't see any questions, but I just, there is one. It has to do about faith in the family, as you shared. And when a problem arises in a family by some soul who is, well, in a little different wavelength like us, and creates confusion and turns against others, and others turn against her. And then we cannot dance and be happy. And of course, we talk to the seniors. We in Europe, we have Genti very often and Sudesh Didi. And unfortunately, we don't have Mohini Didi with us, but in Avyakti Parivar, it's like being close to her. So how we deal with such a soul that may cause problems, real problems, and the Yagya helps a lot on that, and still there are the problems.
Yes. Well, I think that the first thing we need to do is to work on myself not to be affected, because this is, you know, because we are influenced by the sanskars, we are influenced by the situation, and this makes us so weak. And it makes my energy, my feelings. So we have to be very strong in our self-respect. And at least from my experience, what I have learned is never to take the law in your hands. I have faced a lot of opposition and, you know, these groups, antagonism. And, you know, something Sister Mohini said the other day, Mohini Didi, when we were in Peace Village, she said, we have to become aware that when groups, she said, groups are created, you know, Baba used to refer to the golden group, the golden circle. So it's been happening right from the beginning, you know, people in opposition and creating antagonism within the gathering, trying to influence others to, you know, feel stronger. And she said, we have to become aware that we are creating these groups. It was very strong when she said that. And she was saying it within the context of a class that she was giving, that it is our lack of openness and acceptance and inclusiveness that gives space to such groups. And so she was mentioning that in India, they're going through a lot, you know, people claiming to be the second chariot of Bap Dada, even the third chariot of Bap Dada. Imagine, that's quite a big one. And many Brahmins going to under their influence. So what I learned from the seniors is that they don't take parts. Sometimes it feels a little bit like they're not doing anything about it. Like we go with a case and they don't do anything about it. But I also feel that they are preserving their heart from being partial. And it seems like neutrality, but it's really fairness, and it's like they don't want to take sides, because whoever is under the influence of the Maya creating opposition or being critical or, creating havoc in the center, or wherever, they will need help. They need help. So mm, I have seen the seniors. I've even seen Daddy. This is something that has inspired me and helped me through um, these situations. There was a time when Daddy had someone who was um, very critical on websites, very, creating a lot of uh, challenges for her, for Genti, and for others in the Yagya, but talking very, very negatively at a high level of influence about the Brahma Kumaris. And we all loved this soul, really. But we saw Daddy dealing with that. And I remember once we were in Madhuban. It was in the context of an NCCC retreat, and these souls arrived, and Daddy, they came to the class, and Daddy, she was enlightened, she was lit up like this, like, so and so has come, come, come to the front, and started praising the soul. And we were all watching, we all knew what was going on, but Daddy was in a way showing us, don't take anything personal. Just remain in the safe space where you can always have good feelings. Because if I become judgmental, if I react to that, then I will deprive myself from being happy, from being loving, and that's going to close my heart. Then I won't even receive Baba's help. So for me, it was such a lesson. And I know that then when that person goes to Daddy's cottage, maybe Daddy is able to say something or help him in such a way, but always would love him. And I'm sure that, until the last day, he felt that he belonged, so the Daddy G has gone through so much, and yet she was strict, very strict, but she was also so pure. She kept her heart so pure, even in face of adversity. And that kind of sailed her through and took everyone through, because everybody's looking at her. What is she going to do with it? I mean, people who are in opposition, and my experience is, don't take the law into your hands, because it's karma. And what I saw when I went through a lot of chaos in Argentina, all the people who were creating a problem somehow drifted, somehow fell. And it's not what we would have wanted, but that's what happened, really. Because if you oppose the yajna, it's a very heavy karma. So we have to be very merciful, and maybe take responsibility for whatever criticism they're offering that I need to change. Which, for me, I had to make many changes, I was too bossy. I wasn't giving enough attention. I was only doing what I wanted. So there was a margin for my transformation. But then there was also a lot of projection, and that is people's frustration. We have all come here with dysfunctional families. We're all very hurt when we come to the yagya, and we need to heal. But there will come a time, and it's just a question of time, that all of us will settle, and we will become, focused enough, and we will become open enough to learn how to heal. And this is the season. So, and I know many things are happening in many places, I guess everywhere, because we're all settling. Mama was saying things will come, many things. She was warning us. I never heard a Murli of Mama warning us as much. So have patience and be very merciful, but we have to create some stock of good wishes to protect myself protect the atmosphere also and help others.